All right, let's talk about one of the most important electronic components that you probably never even thought about. It's this little hidden controller that's in almost everything you own. It's the secret sauce behind manual control in, well, everything from your gaming console to professional audio gear. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain.
Yeah, think about that for a second. A game controller, a high-tech robot arm, a studio audio mixer. What could possibly link those three things together? On the surface, they're from completely different worlds, right? Gaming, industrial automation, music production. But believe it or not, there is one single piece of technology at the heart of all of them.
That's the key. They all need a way to translate a physical human action, turning a dial, pushing a joystick, sliding a fader, into an electrical signal that the machine can actually understand and react to. And they all use the same simple yet incredibly powerful component to do it.
And that hidden controller, that unsung hero of the electronics world, is the potentiometer. It's basically an adjustable resistor, and it is the absolute key to manual control in countless circuits.
So what is it really? Well, a potentiometer, or a pot as you'll hear people call it, is just a resistor that you can change. By turning a knob or moving a slider, you change how much resistance is in a circuit. And when you can control resistance, you can control things like voltage and current. It's that fundamental.
And I mean it when I say they are everywhere. Those joysticks on your game controller? Inside, there are two pots measuring the up and down and the left and right movement. That servo motor in a robot arm? It uses a pot to know its exact position. And of course, the most classic examples, the volume knob on a radio or all those sliders on an audio mixer. Yep, all potentiometers.
Okay, but how does just turning a knob actually do anything inside a circuit? I mean, what's really happening in there? To get that, we need to crack one open and take a look inside.
And when you look inside, you realize it's a beautifully simple idea. The most important part is this ring of resistive material. You can think of it like a long, winding road that's a little bit tough for electricity to drive on. Then you have this little metal arm called the wiper. As you turn the knob, the wiper just slides along that road, acting like a movable exit ramp for the electrical current.
And this right here is the whole magic trick. If that wiper exit is right near the start of the road, the electricity barely has to travel, so it faces very little resistance. But as you turn the knob, you push that exit further and further down the road. You're forcing the electrons to travel a longer distance through that resistive material. And a longer journey means, you guessed it, more resistance. It's just that elegant.
Now, of course, not all potentiometers are the same. They come in different maximum resistance values. And luckily, they tell you what that value is with a little code printed right on the side. So, let's figure out how to decode it.
It's usually pretty easy to figure out. Most of the time, you'll see a number and then a letter. K just stands for kilo or 1,000. So a 1K pot can go from 0 up to a maximum of 1,000 ohms. M is for mega or a million. Now sometimes you'll see a 3-digit code like 103. The way that works is you take the first two numbers, in this case 10, and then you add the number of zeros from the third digit. So 103 is 10 with 3 zeros, or 10,000 ohms.
But it's not just about the max resistance. It's also about how the resistance changes as you turn the knob. This is called the taper. A linear taper, usually marked with a B, means the change is perfectly even. Turn the knob 50% of the way, you get 50% of the resistance. Makes sense, right? That's great for things like dimming lights. But then there's the logarithmic taper, marked with an A. This one is weird. It changes slowly at the beginning and then gets really fast at the end. Why? Well, it just so happens that's exactly how our ears perceive volume. So it makes the volume knob feel smooth and natural to us. Pretty cool, huh?
So while we all know that classic rotary knob, potentiometers actually come in a bunch of different shapes and sizes, and each one is designed for a very specific job. Let's meet the rest of the family.
First up, we've got the slide potentiometer, or just the slider. I'm sure you've seen these. Instead of a rotating knob, you've got a little lever that you just move in a straight line. The internal principle is exactly the same, a wiper on a resistive track, but the action is linear.
These are the stars of the show on audio mixing boards and graphic equalizers. And for good reason. The big advantage is that you can see all your settings at a single glance. You get this immediate visual feel for the mix. You'll also notice they often have this little felt or rubber cover to keep dust and grime from getting into the track and making it scratchy.
Next up, we have the specialist, the multi-turn pot. Think of this as the surgeon's scalpel of potentiometers.
For those times when you need incredibly fine, precise control, instead of going from 0 to max in less than 1 turn, these might take 10 or even 25 full rotations to go through their range.
They pull this off with a really clever internal mechanism, usually a spiral or a worm gear, that moves the wiper along a much longer resistive track. This lets you dial in an exact resistance value with pinpoint accuracy. And because they're made for precision work, they're also built tough. They can usually handle a bit more power and are rated to last for 1 million or more adjustments.
And finally, we have the tiniest member of the family, the trim pot, or trimmer potentiometer. These are the little guys you see on a circuit board that aren't meant for everyday use. They're the behind-the-scenes adjusters. A technician will use a tiny screwdriver to adjust these when a device is being built or serviced, maybe to fine-tune a sensor or calibrate a signal. They're really a set-it-and-forget-it kind of component. Because they're so small and not built for abuse, they're really only meant for occasional tweaks and can't handle much power at all.
Okay, now for what might be the most important concept of all. A potentiometer is one physical component, but depending on how you wire it into a circuit, it can do 2 completely different and totally fundamental jobs.
This is what makes them so versatile. If you hook up all 3 terminals, you turn the pot into something called a voltage divider. The best analogy is a tap on a water pipe. It lets you pick out any voltage level you want, from 0 all the way up to your input voltage. But if you only use the center pin and one of the outside pins, it acts as a rheostat. This is more like a valve that you can use to control how much current is flowing through the whole circuit.
But here's a really crucial point about the voltage divider setup. It is fantastic for creating a control signal for another part of a circuit, but it is not a power supply. You can't use it to directly power something like a motor because the moment you connect a load, it actually changes the math of the whole circuit and your voltage will drop in unpredictable ways.
And the rheostat setup has its own big gotcha. If you're using it to, say, dim an LED, and you turn that knob all the way to minimum resistance, well, you've basically created a short circuit. A massive amount of current will rush through and will instantly burn out that LED. That's why, when used this way, you almost always need a separate, fixed resistor in there to limit the current and keep things from going poof.
But just stop and think about that for a second. From one simple, mechanical component, you get 2 of the most fundamental tools in electronics: the power to precisely select the voltage and the power to control the flow of current.
From audio gear to robotics, it all comes down to these 2 simple principles. You now understand the unseen controller that's quietly running so much of our modern world. So the only real question left is, now that you know how to control voltage and current, what would you build first? Thanks for tuning in.